right, welcome to Old School. Cenk, Uygur, Ben Mankiewicz, Kevin Smith, everybody. All right, so.
Well, hello, folks. It's so weird to, normally when somebody goes, Kevin Smith, people applaud, but there's nobody here. So I was like, am I over?
They're applauding, they're pumping their fists in the control room.
They are, somewhere in the audience, people are like, oh, him, I recognize him. I've seen him in things.
Yeah.
He's still alive? I get that a lot. People are like, you still alive? One person I walked into a store, they were like, hey man, you had that heart attack. I was like, it did. They're like, you're still alive? I was like, yeah. They're like, nah, you died. And I was like, no, I'm still here.
I told my, you'll hopefully appreciate this or want to leave. So when I told my wife that you were coming on the show, I'm like, Kevin Smith's coming on. She's like, Kevin Smith, the director? I'm like, yeah, Kevin Smith. And he's from Jersey, and she's from Jersey.
What part?
He's from Jersey. She's from Hohokus.
Oh, okay.
I go, he's from Jersey too. And she goes, that's a bullshit Jersey name, Kevin Smith.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm out of here. Look,
Right.
you can't blame me for that. I was given it by my parents. Like my old man, Don Smith, who was salt of the earth. Where's my camera? This one? Yeah. What's her name?
Lee Russo.
Lee, get off my dead dad's dick.
Okay, there you go.
He was given Smith, and then he gave it to me, and I hate it. Believe me, every day of my life, I sit there at some point or another and go like, I had a girlfriend in high school, Kim Lochran, and I was always like, if I was smart, I would have made Clerks as Kevin Lochran, because it has like a real ring to it, Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
I'm with her. It's a terrible Jersey name, terrible human name.
No, she's actually technically wrong.
Yeah.
Because I'm also from Jersey. We actually.
Now, where are you from?
Yeah, East Brunswick.
Are you? Are we allowed to curse?
Yeah, we're allowed to curse.
Are you serious?
No.
So you know Brian O'Halloran and stuff. He's the guy who played Dante. He's from there as well.
Oh, is that right? No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know him, but I should know him.
We shot a piece of Clerks up there. He was going to school at the time, and he lived right near there. So the part where the dog's drinking out of the toilet and stuff, that's up there.
Okay, so actually we have amazing connections that you're about to find out in a second, okay?
Is my mother here?
Yeah.
You bringing out my mom? Is this is your life?
It's Bobby Smith. And it's still quiet, nothing.
When were you born?
Yeah,
What year? 71?
When I moved?
Born.
Oh, born 70.
Yeah, I was
70,
70 as well.
he's-
When were you born?
March 21st.
I'm August, so you're older than me.
Yeah,
You got me by a few
fine,
months.
yeah.
And Brian,
I felt you were my senior.
I know, but at least
But we would have been in the same class, bro.
That's right.
They wouldn't have separated us. It's not like you missed the November cutoff. We would have
That's
been in the
right.
same grade.
That's right. You graduated in 88?
Yes.
Yeah.
Class of 88.
Yeah.
but Brian might have too, because he was born December of 69.
Who? Brian who?
You're Brian O'Halloran.
Brian O'Halloran. Yeah.
and did he go to
December
grow up?
69, he would have been a year ahead of us.
But did he go to East Brunswick High?
No, he didn't go there. I don't know where he grew up. That's where he was living when we shot the movie.
I got you.
Yeah. And so we've got these amazing connections, but I just wanted to point out.
Wait, isn't that where your wife went?
No, she's from Hohokus.
Hohokus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She went to some Catholics.
I was trying to put the math together. I was like, are you trying to figure out if your wife Brian O'Halloran? Don't worry about it, man. She loves you. That guy. Believe me, it happens to me all the time. Every once in a while I'm in traffic, I'm like, did my wife Brian O'Halloran? And I pull over and I really have to think about it, and then go on with my
You do
day.
the math on it.
Yeah, I'm
You're
like, you know
no,
what?
That's 89, we're okay.
And
We're
if she
okay.
did, so be it. I still love her, and I go back home and I say, by the way, did you? And she's like, no.
So obviously, to conclude, Lee is wrong because down the street from me in East Brunswick, New Jersey, was a guy named Kevin Smith.
Another one?
Another one.
Is it the one who became the football player?
No.
Because there's a football player.
No,
Kevin Smith.
just a random.
Just a
dude.
rando.
There might be a couple.
There's
Yeah.
a few.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So we're gonna bring
anytime you call like a credit card company, the name Kevin Smith, they're like dress. I'm like, New Jersey. They're like, keep going. You gotta really laser focus it down.
Yeah, Cenk and I have, Ben Mankiewicz, Cenk Uygur. It's pretty quick.
Right?
Yeah,
Oh my God, what a dream.
Yeah.
It was fun. You
it's a
guys
dream
like
to have a
this.
name Cenk Uygur spelled with a C. What a dream. Your dream can come true too, everybody. Okay.
It's color though. At least people are like, hey, that's different. That's different.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true. Okay. So
Aren't you glad you never acquiesced though? If nobody ever acquiesced and said like, look, sounds like J. Why don't we just make it a J? Like you, it's C. C
That's right.
till the end.
yeah.
But you
Well,
thought about
Am I
doing-
glad?
Did you
No,
think about
but
changing it?
To Jake,
I did
right?
think about it, but yeah, I'm from Jersey, so I didn't.
You couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
When
There's
I
a certain authenticity coming from that state. Have you found that?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's
It's
absolutely
credibility without having to say a word, and it's because of shit that you didn't even do. It's because of like mob movies and like just Jersey history. There's an odd sense of trust for people from that place.
It's true, but it's actually in the culture. I mean, growing up, I think it was.
Why
in the
is that,
culture.
you think?
Yeah. Maybe it's the Italians. I don't know. Right?
It could very well be because the state is largely. We were not. We were Irish. We were the other small percentage. But I think it has something to do with this. When you grow up in the shadow of New York, you are like the little brother to like the star athlete in school. Everyone talks about that motherfucker, and every once in a while they're like, "Oh, you live near that cat."
Right.
So Jersey is like, we just happen to be next to the most important city on the planet, and because of that, I think you tend to try harder. People from Jersey try harder.
That's interesting. I like that theory. I think that theory is true.
It might hold. It definitely holds for. I try harder because I'm from New Jersey, but also just in the work in general. It's just like, it's not like you got a chip on your shoulder, but you always feel like you have something a little extra to prove because you grew up next to.
Oh, there's a huge chip.
Yeah.
And it's not just that, it's also because everybody dumps on Jersey.
True.
So you have this kind of fighting attitude like, oh yeah, you, right? So which is like the most Jersey thing you could ever say.
And the thing you bring up, Cenk, which is that in addition to all those things which are true, you throw in that it is in many ways the best demonstration of what America is.
Jersey is?
Because it is this immigrant melting pot.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
I mean, it's filled with Jews.
Keep going. I've never heard this theory. Go.
You grew up with people from Turkey, from China, from Korea, from all over the world.
Jews,
right, and
Irish, Italians. So we got Packy Harold, Kevin Smith. This is my elementary school. Frank Niglio, Angelo Mutorelli, Dave Smella. I mean,
that is like the ideal cast of a 2019 movie. There's so much diversity there.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Arun Sanuti, Sanjeev Kinkawala.
You were in a far more flavorful version of Jersey than I was. I was in the very white section of Jersey where everybody was it looked like Alaska. It was white as far as the eye could see.
But unlike many suburbs in America, all these people were living together in a lot of parts of Jersey, whereas in other places they would sort of just arrange themselves racially. I mean, I don't have the demographics to back this up, but from you and from Craig and from just that seems to be the case. Obviously, there were some, with your parents being racist and all. Obviously, they kept you. Obviously,
mom's sitting at home going like, "I can't wait to watch you online, Tiger." And she sees herself called a racist. She's like, "Oh dear."
Okay, so we're supposed to get your new movie, Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which we're going to when we show the trailer. But of the several connections that you and I have, that's going to blow your mind. Let me give you one right off the bat.
Okay.
My dad owned the Red Bank Mini Mall.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
Where the Fantasy Zone was?
Yeah.
How long?
So he,
look at how did you see how engaged I was? I was like, what?
I know, because
it's like almost as if like my father was King Tut. I'm like, what? I've heard of King Tut. I know that mall. I spent so much time in the mini mall as a kid.
Yeah. So because I know you're from there, and so anyone who lived anywhere near Red Bank knows the Red Bank Mini Mall.
I lived in Highlands, and just to explain to those watching, like, why is this a big deal? Highlands, you would take a bus to Red Bank to hang out at the mini mall. And then if you wanted to go to the big boy mall in Eatontown, Monmouth Mall, then you have to take another bus to get there. But it was the focus of teenage activity, particularly because right there was the comic book store, Fantasy Zone.
That's right.
Guy who worked in Fantasy Zone, Dave Windorf, went on to be the lead singer of Monster Magnet. He's got a suit from a music video, had a bunch of light bulbs all over it, that's in a casino, what is it, the Hard Rock Casino in Vegas. Anytime I go in there, I look at it, I'm like, that's the guy that used to sell me my comic books.
Right, and that guy also actually coincidentally Ben's wife.
Oh my God. Ben's like looking online doing the math going, wait a second.
That's gonna be a theme tonight.
Another one.
Yeah, as it is most weeks.
So no, he owned that like from when he first came, it's like 79 probably to 83 or so.
Those are my prime years.
Yeah. And
they got an arcade in it now.
So he managed it. He owned a small piece of it. And the Amazing Randy was there, the magician.
Yeah.
I remember as a Boy Scout, my dad took us to the mini mall to meet Amazing Randy, etc. And then he sold that and bought the Eatontown Executive Center.
Which one was that?
So that's like the biggest building in Eatontown, which is like
where Brian, Ming, and Mike have their offices there. My two friends, the guys who were on Comic Book Men, they got a podcast company and they run it out of that building. That building is across the street from where my old man took me to get my first haircut. There was a guy named Vinny the Barber that used to be like in this tiny place right across. Totally, Vinny the Barber.
In Jersey, really.
He put me on like, in these seats, like the barber chairs, I got this. They had to put a plank across this, and I sat on top. They give you a lollipop when you're done. That's where I found my first comic books. Batman, a Spider-Man, and a Sad Sack.
So I'm interested because you've now twice mentioned comic books. Obviously, a big part of your life growing up.
Yeah.
And I just read this, I didn't know. You sold your collection to make Clerks?
Back in the day,
How tough a decision was that?
Not tough at all, because it was the bridge to the future, I assumed. I was like, well, look, I gotta make this movie. If I don't, I'm gonna die. I was real emo about it. Like, if I don't make this, I'm gonna die. So I loved my comics, but I was like, well, why did you buy 2 of everything if not for investment purposes?
Right,
you know what I'm saying? You bagged and boarded it and shit. So this is the time. And I made up, I went through the buyer's guide, and I didn't even use like the really expensive one. I took the low end one and priced my entire collection. It was like $10,000 worth of books. So I took it around, tried to sell it at a few conventions. Nobody was buying. Took it to a few comic book shops. They were like, that's way too much money. So there's one comic book store in Middletown, New Jersey. I don't think they're still there anymore. Comics Plus. They were like, we'll give you $2,000 store credit for this. And I was like, all right. So I took my store credit and I would sell it off to Walter Flanagan, the guy who was the lead in Comic Book Man, the TV show we did for years. Walter would then buy $200 worth of comics and give me like 180. So he took like 20% off and stuff. So I didn't even get $2,000 for my collection. I got about $1,800 when all was said and done. But those payments went in to pay off my credit card minimums on the movie. So
And you maxed out a bunch of credit cards.
I did. I had a bunch of credit cards. Me and my friend Brian Johnson, another guy who was on Comic Book Men, we went to Brookdale Community College. You know Brookdale?
Yeah,
sure.
They call it's in Lincroft.
Yeah, the Tigers, right?
Yes, no, I don't even know if they have a team. They call it, they disparage it in where we're from. They call it the University of Southern Lincroft. It's a 2-year college, an associate's degree program. So me and my friend Brian Johnson are going there. Can't get like a 4-year bachelor. We're trying to get an education in criminology and juvenile justice because we were thinking about being Batman for a minute. So we're going to the school, and they got all these credit card ads when you walk in. I don't even know if it's like that anymore, but they were really trying to get kids hooked on credit. So you could apply for anything. And so one day me and Brian are sitting in the quad and we're like, let's have a race and see who could get more credit cards.
Oh, Jesus.
And so we started applying like
That's a
fucking
really good
crazy.
idea.
This is fun. And we didn't realize.
What could go wrong?
I know, we didn't realize it would ruin our credit. But I worked at the video store, the one that's in the movie.
Right.
So I would write that like I was the manager of RST Video and I made $50,000 a year in 1991.
Right. What did you really make?
Oh, $4 an hour.
Yeah, right.
$4 an hour. So I don't think anyone ever got $50,000 to manage a video store. So I would be the only guy in the store. Invariably, they called, do a credit finance check, and they're like, we're calling to check on Kevin Smith. And I'm like, oh, that's my manager. I pay him $50,000 a year. So they would send me credit cards. So I beat Brian, he got 3 and I had 12. Yeah. And I never used them because my mom was like, credit's the devil. You can't use that. You got to use paper only. So I let him sit in a drawer until I saw Richard Linklater's movie Slacker, and then I got into independent film. I was like, oh, shit, maybe I want to make a movie. And a lot of filmmakers at that point were starting to get into credit cards to finance movies, put some of the movie on the credit card. And I'd heard about Robert Townsend, who had directed a movie called Hollywood Shuffle that I love. It's real funny. He put the money, half the movie on his own credit card. So I knew it was kind of possible. So I used the credit cards and I used the comic book payments to pay off the minimums of the credit cards and juggled a lot of plates until the movie got bought, and then suddenly I didn't have to think about it.
But you say that it was an easy decision, and this was, you were all emotional about it. You got to make this movie, but look, I work at Turner Classic Movies for a network that like really understands the value of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Cenk doesn't throw anything. It's really hard. It's hard for people to give up the thing they love, even though of course it was the right decision.
Yeah, I do funerals for my clothes.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a pack
I'm not
rat.
kidding. I got my kids into it.
I'm with you. I'm the very same person. I save everything. I'm a true pack rat, a hoarder, if you will. But this was easy, and a mall rat. But this was easy to let go of because it just seemed like the bridge. I was like, look, I need cash. We were poor, like we were raised really lower middle class, I like to say, but really we were just flat out poor. So like there was no help coming. So at that point, I'm like, you got all this money tied up in comic books. And like I was never buying golden or silver age book. It was all modern stuff.
Right.
So I was like, use that. Like if you're serious about this, like, you know, you won't care. You could always replace a comic book. And then I did, over the years, I rebought anything I wanted to buy, but I never collected like that again. I did buy a comic book store though. I've had one for 22 years now. So it's kind of like having a collection that people pick through.
Yeah.
I want to show the trailer, but I can't resist but just add to this one question. So you make the movie, you think it kicks ass, of course, right? I mean, you're not sure.
I hope, I don't think I ever once was like, this movie kicks ass, but I felt like this movie's mine. Like,
yeah, I know that feeling.
I made, if I don't make this don't exist. And it's on my dime and it's on my time. It was my dreams. Like this, like before I had a kid, this was the closest thing to like this. Nobody else can speak for this but me. This is like mine. And even if nothing happens to it, I made some art, some weird art and shit. So yeah, I was into it, but I never thought like everyone else will like it. I knew I did though.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I totally get it. You're like, well, right or wrong, this is what I intended. Yeah. I did it. Now I'm gonna give it a shot and let's see what we got, right? So you do that. When does it work? Like when do you know?
First time. Like, well, first screening, it didn't. We were gunning toward a thing called the IFFM, the Independent Feature Film Market. I'd read an article in the Village Voice by Amy Taubin. She had talking about Richard Linklater, how at the 1991 IFFM, Richard Linklater was the filmmaker all the other filmmakers wanted to be. And this article kind of tracked the history of Slacker, how much he paid for it, what he did to get it made. It was like a treasure map. It was literally like being like, oh my God, all I have to do is follow this line and there's the X, it's right there.
And he shot that in Austin.
In Austin.
Right, which is, and that told you.
It told me that I'm a dipshit, because when I heard this, I was like, this boy made this movie in Austin, Texas, Bumble, Texas. Nobody knows Wareville, Texas. Like if he can make a movie in Bumble, backwoods, near Texas,
Austin.
Why can't I make one in New Jersey? And it's a good thing that I was so ignorant of geography, because if I'd known like Austin's the capital of Texas, and UT is there, and if you were ever gonna make a movie in Texas, it was probably gonna be in Austin. But I didn't know that, so it inspired me. I was like, he's doing his thing, and he's singing a song in his backyard against all odds, all these hayseeds trying to stop him and I was inspired by this Horatio Alger, who really had an easy time making his movie. So it inspired me. I was like, if he could do it in Texas, I think I could do it in Jersey. And so he was the key for me. You gotta, see it in order to be it, right? And he was the guy I saw do it, and I was like, ooh, that's possible.
Yeah, so about 20 minutes in, I now tell you that Kevin Smith, if you've been living under a rock, has done Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So we got, and now we've got Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. That's the new movie.
Yeah.
So let's show you the trailer.
Ooh.
Don't tell me you guys have no idea there's a new comic book movie being made of the old comic book movie you two are the basis for. That old ass star-studded piece of shit, that movie sucked.
Your Honor, I object. I'll allow it. That movie did suck.
We got 3 days to get to Hollywood and stop this reboot from ever happening.
Boys, I had a baby. Jay, brace yourself. You're about to meet our love child.
I think I'm gonna need to see a blood test.
No, Jay. This is my daughter, Millennium Falcon.
Can you take us to Hollywood with you?
No, man. It's a tough-ass neighborhood.
Either you take us to Hollywood or I stab you both to death on my own front lawn.
And on that note, we cue the music.
I'm glad you guys are smoking back there. I was driving someone about a week ago and he took a big. You have no idea how hard it is to get the smell out of pleather.
Yo, Methods, let's do this.
Yay. It's Jay and Silent Bob.
I just found out I have a kid, but I don't know how to be a father.
Anybody can be a father, but only love can make you a dad.
How you gonna talk about love and you over the place? That's only, bro. What do you guys think about this reboot?
It sucks. There, I said it. And who's directing this anyway? Kevin Smith? Smells like this reboot went up in smoke.
What? I've been cursing. Am I not allowed to curse? Because they cut out all the bleeps.
I know. I think people got it, but
no, I'm not saying like I'm offended. Like, please play the curses. But I've been sitting here, cursing my full head off.
No,
I can curse, but the movie can't curse.
Every other show on the network can't curse, so that's probably why they bleeped it.
So this one can curse,
but this one can curse. Yeah. So
good to know.
But I feel
I'm
bad
nothing
for you.
without curses.
Yeah. Could you find any famous people for the movie though?
No, I don't know anybody. That's the problem. That's why I can't get ahead in this business, man.
Yeah.
Believe me, that's like a lifetime. That's 25 years of work, right? Like you get a long tail like that, you meet some cats and stuff. But also, the heart attack played a big part because I'd ask people, I was like, hey man, you want to come down to New Orleans for 2 hours and shoot in our movie? And they'd be like, New Orleans, it's awfully far, bro. And I'd be like, yeah, I understand. You do realize I almost died last year, right? And they're like, all right, I'm coming. So they would show up. So the heart attack should get casting credit on the movie. We had 22 cameos in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and then headed down to New Orleans. We didn't think we'd get anybody to show up this time around. We had 45 cameos, so it was really nice.
So, and Affleck.
Yeah, he came back.
And that came out of there a long time. You guys didn't communicate?
I hadn't spoken to him in close to like 10 years, man. When was Argo? How many years ago now at this
Argo
point?
was 2000, I don't know, 10, 11?
It was the last time I saw him in real life was at the Argo premiere, and I was walking out, and he looked at me, he was talking to somebody and went like that, and I was like, he smiled. And then I remember sending him an email when he got cast as Batman. I was like, holy crap. Like, you're playing Batman? I have a podcast called Fat Man on Batman. Guess what we talk about? And I said, come over to your house, because I bought his house years ago. I said, come over to your old house. Even though it's been my house for 18 years, we still call it Ben's house. He owned it for like 1 year.
Right.
And still it's like, oh, it's Ben's house. I said, come over to your old house and we'll do a podcast. And he was like, all right. He's like, I'm doing a movie with Fincher right now. When I'm done, I'll hit you up. And that was Gone Girl. And then I never heard from him again. So I never reached out to him because I was afraid like, oh, like maybe we're not friends. And it's one thing to not know. Ignorance is bliss. But if I reached out and I was like, hey man, are we friends anymore? He's like, no, that really would have hurt. So I just let it go. And for years people be like, how's Ben? I was like, I don't know, I ain't seen him in years. I don't know if we're friends anymore. And so it went like that for a long, long time. And when I wrote this movie, I didn't write Ben into it because I was like, I ain't spoken to him in years. No way I'm gonna reach out and be like, hey, you wanna come do this flick? So Holden, the character that he played in Strike Back, wasn't even in the script. And we were 3 weeks into the movie, and there's a guy, Kevin McCarthy. He's an entertainment journalist. He reviews movies for like Fox and Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I know that guy. He fucked his wife.
Sweet, yes, another one. And you know what? For the record, let's just say it's Ben's wife who's doing the
Right,
just she's a lady on top. We all know exactly. Don't take that away from her. So he was.
By the way, she's going to be so thrilled with this.
She's like, you know what? Is a terrible Jersey name, and he's a terrible Jersey human being as well.
No, but the whole time she's saying, you're talking about Ben Affleck. Can't say that one f***ed Ben's wife.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Ben did not f*** Ben's wife. But Ben's wife f***ed the shit out of Ben. Let's be honest. I mean, come on. And that's a true statement. You can clip that up, put that out, and that would be true.
That would be
true. They don't know what Ben I'm talking about.
They don't know. They have no idea.
Kingsley.
That's right.
So
okay, Kevin McCarthy.
So Kevin McCarthy, he does this cute thing whenever he interviews people on junkets. He likes the movies I've made. If he's talking to somebody who's been in one of my movies, he generally opens with a Kevin Smith type joke. So Matt Damon, he'll say, oh, hey man, when do you guys make a Good Will Hunting 2 hunting season? And Matt will be like, what is he talking? And then he's like, oh, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And he's like, oh, you know Kevin. And the interview gets a little more comfortable and shit like that. So I've seen him do it for years. I love it. It's free publicity for me. The kids keep my name out there when nobody cares anymore. So I love it when he does it. He did it to Affleck. We're in week 3 of our production. Affleck was promoting Triple Frontier for Netflix. Kevin McCarthy opens with like just an innocuous View Askew question where he's like, hey, they're making Reboot right now. Did anybody call you yet? And Ben, without missing a beat, he goes, no, nobody called me and I'm not busy. And so everyone on production was just like, did you hear that? Like, did you see him? And you said that thing? He said you should call him. And I was like, you people are fucking nuts. That's just some nice shit to say at a junket. What is he supposed to say? Oh, Kevin Smith? Him. By the way, watch Triple Frontier on Netflix. Like, he's there to sell a movie. He's just gonna be nice and shit. So I didn't think anything of it. And a week later, Jason Mewes kept bugging me. He's like, you should reach out, bro. He's like, what if he's really trying to be in touch? What if that was meant for you to hear and stuff? So I was like, you know what? I'll tweet him. That's the best I could do for you guys. And so I put together this tweet, and I was just about to send it. And then Jason Mewes' wife, Jordan, she runs our company. She's a producer on the movie. She was like, don't fucking tweet him. That's tacky. She's like, especially you haven't talked to him in years. Text him. And I was like, I got 4 numbers. I don't know if any of them work. She goes, pick one. So I picked one, and I said, this still you? And then he goes, who? And I wrote BA with a question mark. And he wrote back, yeah, this is your father. And right then and there, I was like, that sounds like Affleck. That's kind of he says, like, I'm your father. So he goes, who's this? And I was like, well, this conversation might end right here. I said, KS. And there's a long pause, and then he goes, Kevin? I said, yes. And he goes, how the hell are you? And I said, great. I was gonna send you this tweet. I'll just dump it here. And so the tweet that I'd written, or which became the text, I said, hey man, we're all having a blast in the past down here in New Orleans. Wish you were here. I said, but ever since the heart attack, I don't wish for anymore. I said, so I'm just gonna ask, will you please come play with us, man? It would be so fun to hang out with you and stuff like that. And I quote the good King Osric from Conan the Barbarian when I say, like, there comes a time, thief, where the jewels cease to sparkle and the gold loses its luster and the throne room becomes as a prison, and all an old director wants is to make pretend with his friends. And so I sent it, and I realized, oh shit, I ain't dealt with him since I become a massive stoner. He's not gonna understand this at all. He's gonna read this text and be like, he's lost his mind. So I was waiting for a long beat. You could drive a truck through the amount of time it took for him to respond. Those 3 little dots came up, and I was like, oh, I fucked up. And then finally he wrote back the most Affleck thing in the world. He said, it's so telling that you still think of yourself as a king. And he goes, I would love to come play. So Kevin McCarthy asking that dopey question like got me Affleck for the scene in the movie, which is like the best scene in the movie and really elevated the flick. But he also got me my friend back, man. Like, it was really kind of
nice.
sweet.
So
Yeah.
Kevin, I'm actually kind of blown away by that, because I figured once you're famous, like, you don't have to give a shit. But
you don't, but you do if you want to be. Look, you can be famous and not give a shit. First off, let's establish, I don't know what it's like to be famous. I'm quasi-famous at best. But I imagine you could be famous and not give a shit. But it's tough to be a human and not give a shit. And like, I would think about him for years, man. Like I would go like, I'd even say it out loud to Jay from time to time. I was like, all that time we all spent together making movies, like, didn't it mean anything? I said, was it just us? Like, I get it, he's on to bigger, better things, but like, so it did like eat at me and stuff like that. And so that little opening, I was glad that my friends pushed me into like reaching out to him and stuff. It was nice to have that part of me back. I could be really romantic about the whole thing and be like, I had a heart attack because there was a missing piece of my heart that I got back. And it wouldn't be all that gross to say something like that, man. It was kind of sweet, really, the universe provided.
Had you not worked with him since, am I wrong about this?
The last time I worked with him was Clerks 2 in 2006.
He was in Clerks 2?
For like a brief scene.
So it was not Jersey Girl?
That was prior to Clerks 2.
Yeah.
So Jersey Girl and then Clerks 2.
Okay, I have a lot of things to say, and I once yelled at you. I still haven't gotten to that story. And
in the public?
Yeah, very much in public. And so that's an awesome freaking story, and I still haven't gotten to it.
Why did I do?
No, you're gonna love the story. You're gonna love the story.
I guarantee.
No, it was a real thing. It was a real thing, and it's actually related to the song in the beginning of the show, etc. But I got to show you one more clip from Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, because it's such a fun movie. Let's watch one clip here.
A reboot, boys, is when Hollywood wants to make a lot of money without the hassle of creating a new movie. So they take an old movie and change just enough to make you pay for the same all over again.
Those greedy animals.
Oh, it's insidious. They take a flick you loved as a kid and add youth and diversity to it. For example, name the movie where a robot has secret plans that could help the good guys beat the bad guys and their leader in a black mask by blowing up a giant ray gun in space.
Star Wars.
No, The Force Awakens. See, now that's what you call a reboot. Nung.
Thought that was a sequel.
Hollywood doesn't make sequels anymore. They don't even make squeakles, yo. Studios have given up on new ideas entirely in favor of building multi-movie universes that breed brand-loyal customers from cradle to grave. So if you like Harry Potter, cash Shinnigus, you're getting 10 f***ing more. You like the Fast and Furious flicks? We're gonna drive the franchise into the ground, bitch. Oh, you want another Marvel movie? Here we go. Hey man, those Marvel movies are a triumph of cinema.
Although they kind of are.
Well, can we, but before you tell your story then, can I ask a question? Or do we want to say goodbye to some people?
Yeah.
Who's leaving?
We're doing
Audience.
this in, Shay, you gotta go. I'm just kidding. So no, Ben's wife
Is leaving?
Leaving
to
me.
go meet
That's right.
Give him
Ben
a chance.
Affleck,
This is to leave to go meet literally anyone.
Kevin
A series of
McCarthy.
other Bens.
Okay. No, we do this in parts. So YouTube audience, if you want to get the whole show, tyt.com/join. See you.
On the go, you can still listen to TYT on our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or tyt.com/podcast. I'll see you there.